Okay, one tip. When making videos, first, turn off your air purifier, which is really loud, and wipe the lens of your iPhone if that's what you're using. That's what I'm using. So it's amazing how greasy it can get. So, yeah, so today, 5 minutes on how I'm going to be good either way. And I actually am taking this idea directly from somebody on YouTube that I watch, Aaron Doty. Hope I'm saying his name correctly. And he makes a lot of videos on this topic, various versions of this topic, but it's definitely something I've been practicing for myself that I have found to be useful. I don't think that I'm always really good at it. I don't think it matters if I'm really good at it right now. I do believe in the art of practice and that, I take an idea, a concept, and then put it into practice. And the ability to do it increases over time with everything, right? Whether it's a worldview, a skill, any kind of ability, I know that I need to practice it in order to not even be good at it, but just be able to do it. I think that's something that, you know, I forget about a lot is that, forget about even being good at whatever I'm trying to do, be good at communication or be good at YouTube videos or be good at design, all things I want to be good at. But also, just if it's something new, I need to remind myself to just be able to do it at a very low baseline. I notice that for myself, and maybe other people have this experience too, that if I hear a new concept like um, this concept of I'm good either way, which I'll explain, there's just wanting to just instantly be good at that, like to embody it and be like, yeah, 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 I'm good either way. And now I just do that like that from now on, and I've got it. And when I don't do it well, which is going to be the way it is most of the time at first, because either I'm going to forget about it completely, it's not going to come into my thought, I'm going to try to do it but not really do it well. It feels frustrating because it seems so simple. Usually, these kind of like ideas, points of views, techniques are really simple, especially when we hear somebody on a podcast talking about it. Like, yeah, all you do is this, and it changes your life forever, and it changes, and you're like, yeah, that's like really easy. Just do this. Just don't care, or just like this, and and then we put it into some kind of practice and find out that like it's easy in theory, but it's not easy in reality, and that mostly I think connects to like my forgetting that whatever it is I want to be able to integrate into my life is going to take a lot of practice. Even if the concept's easy, it's still going to take practice. Like it's debatable, but like making coffee is easy. It's not a complicated process. But if you've never made coffee before, you might not get it right or get it the way you want it. And that just takes time of doing it over and over again, which is obvious. But anyways, so, well, I'm good either way is this idea that I think is actually something that's really important for me to practice. So the idea is to be like good either way. That's obvious in the statement. But let's say that, I want to go to this event. I've been waiting to go to an event. Let's say it's a music festival or something. I like music festivals. And then it rains. And I noticed that I could just be like pissed or feel like, well, now the whole thing's ruined and I'm not going to have fun. And so what I can see is that my ability to enjoy that event or that situation is dependent on a certain kind of situation that I maybe didn't clearly think about or identify, but it's there, you know. And now that situation isn't going to be exactly like that, and so I'm not good. So the practice of trying to be good either way is to do something like, you know, okay, I've got this music festival I've signed up to go to. I'm really excited. I'm looking forward to it. I want to have fun. And if somebody asks me about, like, well, what about the weather? You know, like, what if it rains? I can practice being like, I can be good either way. Um, if it rains, I guess I'm going to stay inside and stay dry. Or maybe I'm going to be fine with getting wet and it'll be okay because I'll bring extra dry clothes that I can use. Or maybe I'll prepare for that and I'll have an umbrella or I'll have a canopy and I'll be good either way because I can still have fun um, in this situation, even though it didn't it didn't work out exactly the way I wanted it to personally. So I think this is good for me, and because I notice this happening in me a lot, that um, for whatever reason, I I have a strong preference about things, the way I think things should be in my life, the way I want things to be, and I think that's okay, honestly. But I notice that when I do practice being okay with things, no matter what happens, that I do have an overall better experience and it relieves me from, unnecessary amounts of frustration, bitterness, resentment, whatever, those negative emotions that can just kind of like totally ruin my day. So, even for example, like the music festival is a good example because, somebody might ask me like, well, okay, so you're going to this music festival, what's the music like? And I could be like, well, it's this type of music, which, maybe isn't my favorite type of music, but you know what? Like, I'm going to be good even if I don't love the music because I can have fun in any situation and, I can be open to things that don't perfectly match my own personal preferences, which I think is another good practice for me, anyways, to just put myself in situations that challenge me to question, like, well, what is there in this? If I said I don't like this type of music, for example, why don't I like that kind of music? And, what is there to like that I'm not seeing that other people see? And, at least being curious about it. And that's a way that I can actually enjoy this situation. Of course, whatever, if there's a different type of thing that resonates strongly with me, obviously, I might have a better time in that, but I'm going to be good either way. And I've been practicing this in other scenarios, not just like music festivals. But that's a good one here in Taiwan because, as anybody in Taiwan knows, it's just like the chance of it raining at an event or music festival here in Taiwan is like, it's like always seems like it's like 70% chance, like it always rains at every event. It's amazing. It's a rainy island. So, and yet it's funny to me that I notice how we can perpetually be frustrated by that as well. Like, perpetually be frustrated at like just the way things are. Like Taiwan is a rainy country. Taiwan is a rainy, super hot country. It's so hot in the summer. And yet we can always be kind of like annoyed by that, frustrated. I can, anyways, I know. And yet the more I practice being like, well, like if it's, 150 degrees outside, like I'm going to be fine. I'm going to find ways to be okay with that. If it's a typhoon outside, like I'm going to be okay. Like I can leave. Just that mindset allows me to seek other ways to give myself enjoyment, even explore things like being okay with if I go to something and it starts raining like crazy and I don't want to be there, then I can leave. And actually, my weekend's not ruined because, I got to go home and be dry and comfortable. And that's better than not. So, anyways, hope that explained this well enough. I'm fine either. I'm fine. Maybe I should try something else. Like, I'm good either way. I'm going to be good even if my pain in my body never goes away. People ask me about my, physical situation quite a lot these days for obvious reasons. Ask me things like, like, will you ever, they don't usually when people ask me this question, it's not so specifically direct, but what they're basically asking is something like, you know, so when are you going to be back to normal? Not in that exact way, but essentially, I know the question. And it's like, well, I might never be back to normal. Maybe I never was normal. But I know what somebody is actually asking. And I know what they're envisioning. And I know that in me, that would be great, right? Like, I've had infinite fantasies through my whole experience of being like, man, what, how amazing would it be if I could just like go back to the way I was physically? I have dreams about it, which is also like really crazy. A bit sad, to be honest, sometimes because I'll have these dreams where I'm like riding a bike or, running or doing some sport, and in the dream I'll realize that I'm like, whoa, I'm like good again. Like I can run or I can ride a bike and everything's fine. And in the dream I'll be like, whoa, it's like it all happened. Like I'm good again. And then I wake up and I'm like, oh, it's just a dream. But that being said, I've practiced for myself. It's much better for me mentally to practice that. You know, even if I don't go back to the way I was before, even if my physical pain never goes away, even if I'm never able to walk perfectly again, whatever is going to be, like, I can be good either way. Are there bad elements? Totally. Pain sucks. Disability sucks. Rain sucks. Bad food sucks. Bad music sucks. Um, you know, Traffic sucks. A lot of things in life suck, but we do, I do have the ability um, to be good either way. Maybe I don't have that ability just so immediately available to me in every situation. So that's why I was saying earlier about the practice part. Like, it would be untrue for me to say, yeah, okay, I'm doing that, I'm practicing it, and that's like kind of what I'm doing all the time now, and I do this, like I do it. But that's not really the case. I'm just sort of talking about it, and like I'm practicing being able to do that. And when I can do it, even if I haven't done it very well, it's it's a powerful technique for feeling better about anything, really. And I've noticed it. I have a lot of evidence for that in my own personal experience of using it. So, yeah. Um, and I'm just going to keep going with it. You can try it out, or you can check out Aaron Doty's YouTube channel. He's a special guy, talks a lot. He's like I don't know. He's like a way more famous, way more developed, better speaker version of me maybe. Like if I had, magically become like an influencer or been able to hone a craft or something, like maybe it would be kind of like that. Or I imagine it could be like that or whatever, but he's pretty good. I've gotten a lot out of watching his videos, and especially the ones where he talks about like getting started with YouTube and how long it took him to get any traction at all, which I think I've talked about. But anyways, I'm going to be good either way.